Hello, YouTube. It is time for a quick tier list. This is not for everyone. This is live on Twitch chat. You guys too, everyone. This is not definitive. We're like 3 days into the patch. Anyone who tells you they know exactly what is the best hero is like lying. It's still being sorted out, and we will figure it out from there. So this is my rough idea after the first however many days I've been playing, games I've watched, checking out the win rate, stuff like that. And that's it. Okay, enough qualifiers. Let's get into it. So, in terms of the tiers, we got S, A, B, and C, and then people who are sad, and people who I haven't seen in my own games yet, so I don't have a good opinion of quite yet. I think as long as you're in like the A to B tier, you're probably fine, like picking the hero all the time. C tier is going to be like, if you like the hero, I think you can still play it, but just, I don't know, I think there's probably like other supports that are probably looking better than these guys. So for S tier, I do think there's going to be some, but I'm not fully sure. So like, for example, I think, I have to put one hero in here first before we can click and drag. I think Grimstroke is looking really good. I think Dazzle's looking really good. I think, okay, as a 4 position, I think Dark Willow looks really good. As a 5 position, I don't think she's as good, so I'm going to leave her in A tier, actually. I think Snapfire looks really solid, but the thing is, you know, I think I still need to play them more to have a better idea. But in terms of S tier, I think if I were just playing for MMR, I'd probably just be playing like these 3 right now, in terms of like what I think is best. But I also like playing Jakiro and like Treant and stuff, and like Gyrocopter, so I'd probably play them too. Now, the reason I think these guys are good, I think Grimstroke, whether he starts Stroke of Fate or Inkswell, both are really good for Bounty Rune fights. And Bounty Rune fights are happening a lot at the start of the game. That's specifically what I'm thinking of. And then the laning stage happens, and then it's not happening yet, but I feel like the water runes and then the bounty runes, I feel like there might be more skirmishes around there, and Grimstroke is kind of good at those with his spells. He also got some talent changes, which I think are good. Specifically, Grimstroke can now be played, well, he could be played as a core before too, but like, I think he can be core Grimstroke, and I think that gives him a lot of value as a support, because you first phase him and the team is like, it's probably core Grimstroke, or it's probably support Grimstroke, but maybe it's a core, and then that's like tough. Now, in a pub game, you probably just assume it's support, but the, like, in competitive, I think, like, he opens a lot for the draft if you're willing to play core Grimstroke. I also think his Shard is really good. The fact that it has a strong Dispel is awesome. You just put it on whoever who runs in, and then it heals them a bit. Strong Dispels, I think that's great. Maybe he's not S tier. Maybe he'll just be A tier, but I think he's really good right now. He got a lot of, like, small quality of life buffs in the last patch. Good attack range, good damage, good, like, starting stats. Well, they're, like, okay. They're probably not the best. A little on the slow side, but, like, besides that, I think he's all around, like, a solid hero. Dazzle, I think this Shard is really good. This Hex. It's, like, you don't even need to get it every game, but just having the option makes him really good against illusion heroes who, PL right now, one of the strongest carries, I feel like, and you just kill off a lot of his illusions, help to identify the real one. It's not, like, enough lockdown to actually kill him, but the fact that you can, like, if he uses Doppelganger and you instantly kill off all the fake ones, now you know who the real one is, and maybe you can kill him. CK is also getting kind of popular, and I think you're good against him. Naga's another illusion, like any illusion hero, right? TB, Naga. I think there's a lot of value in that, or just like AoE hexes in general. It gives you a TP cancel, a way to break channels, all this stuff. I think it just gives a lot of utility to the hero. But Huskar is one of the biggest winners of the patch right now, and Dazzle is really good with Huskar, and kind of good against Huskar, because you can grave whoever's dying and at least buy them a bit more time before they die. Maybe they TP home, maybe they fight to the death, whatever. But Huskar usually tries to kill someone off right away, and if you grave them, he can't quite leave right away. He has to, like, make sure they die. Or maybe they TP home and they live, In which case, if that looks like that's what's going to happen, he has to keep hitting them to hope that the spears burn through them in the fountain. So I think Dazzle is like great with Huskar, great against Huskar, and I see a lot. People are like trying to pick Huskar a lot in some of my games. So I feel like that's why I like Dazzle. Then Snapfire, I think she got some buffs. I don't know if you should build Lil Shredder, but I like having the option. But just her spells in general are still good. And her shard, if you get this, a 2-second stun. Like, you now have a lot of stuns. That's quite a lot. And so I think she's good in this small fighting meta, where a lot of like early skirmishes happen. Her ult is not that long of a cooldown. 110 is like decent, but it's not the worst. And if you manage to farm up in Aghanims, then that is very low cooldown and is great at small skirmishes. Her item build is also very flexible. So whatever you need for the given game of small fights, she can get. All these heroes are also pretty decent. They have like enough ranged or the spells to multi-stack, and right now there are multiple camps in the game, especially on the dire side, but Radiant has a couple too, where stacking 2 camps at once is very possible if you're a ranged hero. So I really like these 3 heroes, and they're going to fall under my S tier. Now for the other tiers, we won't talk about it as in depth right now because it is just a quick impressions patch. Oracle, I feel like Oracle actually received an overall nerf because I feel like False Promise at level 18 last time was 45 seconds. Now, at level 20, it goes down to 40 seconds, which I guess is a buff, but it also feels weird that it got pushed off further. The Fortune's End doing less damage at the start, 20 less damage, and you tend to leave this spell at level 1. I'm not a huge fan of that. And since this False Promise cooldown talent was here before, that meant in the past you could have a 25-second ult, and that's like better than a 40-second ult. So I think Oracle actually got nerfed, but Oracle's really good and good against Huskar. So I think Oracle's near the top just because of that. Oracle's also really good with and against Ursa, who's looking really good. Not so good against PL. And in fact, PL is quite good against Oracle. But with at least Huskar and Ursa currently sticking out in this patch, I feel like Oracle fits really well with or against those heroes, and that makes Oracle a really strong pick, even if Oracle himself was technically nerfed. You think Axe will see some play since Dazzle's buffed? Yeah, Axe could be played a bit. I don't think he's terribly like strong, like just to play Axe if you want. But if you are picking Axe against Dazzle, then I think that works. And Dazzle should still have a decent lane, but Axe is annoying after that with his ult. Oh, another reason for Dazzle is because a lot of items he likes to buy got buffed. Specifically Solar Crest and Mech. He always likes buying those, and now they're better. So lots of points for Dazzle. Guess what this Enfeeble's good against, guys? It's good against Huskar, and it's good against Ursa in a way with Nightmare. Fiend's Grip, also good against those heroes. It's also good with those heroes. And the fact that he has this shard that he doesn't always need wave clear, but some games you want wave clear, and now in those games you can get it. You can get the wave clear with the shard, and then the Aghanims, I think lowering the ult cooldown a lot was pretty solid for him. Ancient Apparition, I think it's good against Huskar. It's good against Ursa. This is how I feel right now. This is a lot of my games is with those heroes. Technically slightly nerfed with his spells, but I still think his laning stage is decent, and low cooldown ult means he can constantly fight in a fighting meta. Dark Willow, I like the changes she got. Some nerfs to cast range, but like overall still a very strong hero. Has base health regen now. So like decent lane, and then like very low cooldown spells later on. A lot of these guys have low cooldown spells. Undying, strong laner. Decay now has wave clear. which is kind of crazy. He never had wave clear before. Still not the best wave clear. Let's be clear. He's not the greatest wave clear hero, but suddenly just having 110 more damage AoE against certain heroes is really nice. For the same reason why like Bane now feels better. For why AA in the last patch when the Shard got added, why he started to feel better. Because they now have wave clear. And when you need that, you know, it's nice to have that option. And Undying just gets it in his Decay. Gyro was kind of a crazy support in the last patch, but he didn't get nerfed like at all. And his flak cannon actually got buffed, which I think was supposed to be for core Gyrocopter, but support Gyro is still good. I feel like I played it a couple of times. Still feels good in the laning stage, has very low cooldown abilities for constant fighting, good starting stats to win the lane and then lead into that early fighting. So I like that. Furix, yeah, I think like Oracle's straight up worse than last patch, but the heroes who are popular got buffed, so it's kind of funny. I feel like Oracle is an A tier for that, but like I actually don't like Oracle as much as like some of these other heroes. But yeah, I don't know. ET is doing really well in terms of win rates as well. I'm not 100% sure why, because I'm not an ET player, but I feel that the camps are closer together in the laning stage. Or just in the lane. And I think it's easier for him to land Astral Spirit on multiple jungle camps and then run into the lane, and you get a ton of damage when you do that. So his laning is just better. Then his Echo Stomp and Astral are good in small fights. Earth Splitter is easier to hit because they reduce the time by 0.34 seconds. And there's a lot of cases where like you try to Earth Splitter people and they just like barely get out. So now, that's less likely to happen. It'll still happen, but just less often. And Earth Splitter is a really powerful spell. ET was like already good in the last major, but I don't think he really received a like a buff. And in fact, technically Stomp got nerfed, but I think the map changes and the meta fit this hero. And he likes buying Medallion, and he'll be happy to buy Solar Crest as well, which is now a really good item. So, you know, the item changes in the game itself fit ET, even though the hero himself didn't get, strictly speaking, buffed besides the ult, which was nice. Like the cooldown got increased, but the delay is quite good for him. Quality of life change. I said I wasn't going to talk about him a lot, but I can't help myself. We are. Yes, that's another great reason. No fear. Maps have more choke points, and especially around the tier 2s, there's a lot more trees pushing you together. ET just like shoo, straight line with the ult, with the stomps, feels really good. If you're an ET player, which there's like at least 3 of you out there, but he's looking really good. And in fact, if I were to put another hero in S tier, it might be ET, but I haven't really seen him in my own games to really experience it. Okay, B tier. Treant losing Invis was very sad to me, but this Leech Seed getting buffed in terms of the mana cost is really good, and he is like a fairly active hero in the early game. Also fine to buy Solar Crest. So I still need to play him more. I feel like he still works, but he prefers to have some hero who's just going to go in line. He's to go like right forward. Because if you want your invis, you need it to like split push and stall out the game, or to find people to gank. But there's another playstyle for, well, not really specific to Treant, but there's another playstyle where you don't even need your invis. You just sit behind someone, and when they get jumped, you ult or you throw out your Nature's Grass, you heal them, you Leech Seed, you fight normally, you Medallion them, you Vlad, stuff like that. And so that playstyle got better because his Leech Seed was reduced in mana cost. So now he can go that build, and that build prefers to have someone like Huskar stand in the front line and you just heal, and then you don't need the invis. In the late game, this AoE heal on the talent now that it affects creeps, is really good. Before it didn't work on creeps, and so it was like, eh. But now you can see your bottom lane getting shoved in by just the enemy creeps, and you're like, no, and you heal it. in a 14-second cooldown. And if that's not enough, you do it on the next creep wave. And if that's not enough, you do it on the next creep wave. And when the enemy creep wave, like if they still make it through all of that and they damage your tower a little bit, you AoE heal the tower and all the creeps that just spawn. So it's like, it's really good in the late game. It's really powerful that way. So early game buffed, late game buffed, mid game awkward because now you have to spend $1,400 to buy the invis, and that's like sad. But overall, like, I think he's still fine. Maybe he's better, maybe he's worse. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Jakiro, shard change was cool. His overall buffs and stuff didn't matter that much. The not solar crest, the soul ring is cheaper, and that's kind of nice. Bassi is a little better. Those kind of small early game items are nicer, so I think Jakiro's still in a decent spot. Crystal Maiden, I think, might be A tier with her shard, but I'm not sure. I need to actually get the shard to try it out. I wasn't playing her quite yet because her other stuff didn't get changed, but I've seen it a little bit, and it seems good. She might go to A tier just because she's good at these early fights, and the ability to cast items and spells while ulting is really strong, although it's a little expensive. So, you know, but I could see her being A tier as well. Lich got some minor buffs, has a little better wave clear. A lot of these supports are getting a little better wave clear. So I don't think he was bad, but his mana costs are a bit expensive, even though it got improved. And so that's why I think like he has a slightly harder time keeping up with these constant fights because he's just like always out of mana, and that's a little tough on him. But if those fights go well for you, and then you have the money to buy regen, I think it works. So I think he's just like, he's Lich. So that's why I don't feel terribly strong about him, but I don't think he's too bad either. And that kind of carries on for all these heroes. In fact, I don't really feel like I need to talk about them too much because they didn't get that many changes, but like Shadow Shaman, Witch Doctor, Ogre, they're kind of like the same heroes they were before. And I think they were like solid heroes before. They had some slight changes, but I think they're like, none of those changes really broke them as heroes or made them broken, like either way. So I think they're all just like still heroes. Enchantress got a buff to her heal, but she didn't always, like, in fact, rarely she plays this way, I feel like. Like, she's more common to go Enchant and Impetus. So unless there's some new build where you go Nature's Attendance, which did get buffed, but I just don't think I don't think it's what she does in the early game anyways. So I don't see her, like, changing that much. But the camps are a little closer now, so that if like, one way to play against Enchantress is to block the camps, and she had to run really far to go find a creep. But the camps are now closer, and I think that's a little easier for her to play around. Then, let's see, Winter Wyvern, ult changed. To be honest, I think it's a fair balance change, because using the ult to just remove a hero from the fight for a while and burn off their BKB was a little strong. And so I think they're trying to like buff her other stuff a little bit better, and then make her not so much about her ult. Because literally the reason you pick Winter Wyvern recently is for the ultimate. Enigma was the biggest cause. Like, someone would pick Enigma, and so you instantly pick Winter Wyvern. There are other options you can pick, but like one of the responses was Winter Wyvern, just because the ultimate was to pierce his BKB and stop the black hole. And so this hero ended up feeling extremely a lot about this Winter's Curse and not so much about the other abilities. So I kind of like the direction they're pushing, which is to try to make the other abilities stronger, nerf this ultimate as a way to just remove heroes, whether you get the kills or not, and make it more about, you actually have to get kills and not just to TP cancel people or BKB lockdown for a little bit. So I kind of like the direction the hero's going, but I think it might need some changes still. I still think her laning is a little weak. I'm also curious how the Necro Book changes affected her, because she kind of liked that to get kills. So honestly, I put her in B tier, but I think she might still be like a C tier kind of hero. I'm not sure though. Somewhere in between here. We can put her, we'll just leave her here for now. Disruptor, Shard, and Ags got kind of like buffed up, or sorry, the ultimate And so, like, if you get the Ags, it's incredibly powerful because it lasts longer now. The AoE is a lot bigger. This Shard AoE is really big. I think he's decent. And if you have a good game, then, like, Glimpse feels awesome. But he suffers from what he's always suffered, which is if you don't have a good game, then his comeback mechanics are not that great unless you get, like, a great Static Storm. Because if they get a really good game and they get, like, Dispels for Thunderstrike, they get their BKBs to run out of this stuff, it feels really bad. So yeah, he's still, like, to me, he's, like, just he's a support. I do like the Shard, though. Yeah, like No Fear says, I think the Shard's cool. Or I don't know if you're talking about Disruptor. But are you thinking it lets you have impact in a bad game now, too? That's true. It does give him better wave clear because it increases the AoE a lot. But I don't know. I think Disruptor's still a hero who, like, he wants to be ahead. Which, like, can be good in this kind of meta. Lion, Kaka showed Lion to be really good, but Kaka's really good. So I don't know if it was Lion or if it was Kaka. And I kind of think it was Kaka. He even said himself he prefers, like, Shadow Shaman and stuff. So he didn't really get a change. His Shard adjusted a little bit, but the hero himself technically got a nerf in Mana Drain. And so I don't feel like he was that incredible before. His the lack of damage on the hero, like, he's got good lockdown a lot, but his actual damage is not so good in the early game, and so it feels like, you know, I don't know how to feel about this guy. Caudle, there's a lot of camps that are easy to now multi-stack, so I think Caudle really likes that. But I don't know how to interpret this Shard change and his ult change. He lost Recall, and Recall was a big reason why people picked this hero, which for me is actually nice because I suck at using Recall. But instead, they gave it so that his ult heals, which is what people used to buy the Aghanims for. So it was weird. It's like, well, Recall's gone, but now he heals people like people wanted him for. So I don't know. I don't know where the hero's going to fall. I kind of think he's good at early fighting if you have strong cores and you can, like, multi-stack. But at the same time, it feels awkward losing Recall, which was great at team fights and early skirmish. So I'm kind of undecided on him. I feel like he could be good, but maybe he's not. Maybe it's better to, like, be other people. Yeah, his Ags is still pretty good. And it's true, he does have the money to actually afford the Shard if he wants it. But I wonder if, like, Keeper will now fit better timing pushes where he stacks a bunch with the camps that are easy to stack, the cores farm it, then Caudle heals on pushes. Team Liquid was really good at this back in the day. Or sorry, their Team Nigma now. They would have an incredible timing push centered around GH, Keeper the Light Ags. And now he doesn't need the Ags. So maybe. But maybe that's a little too coordinated. Caudle's always been about having some good coordination on the teams. So, yeah. Warlock, his Shard, I don't know. Some people are saying Warlock's bad. Some people are saying he's really good. So we'll have to see more on this. In the past, he was not good because in the past being this recent patch, his abilities were just really long cooldown, and his laning is not that strong. He heals people, and he pokes, but, like, in terms of actually being active, he doesn't really provide anything for that, because his ultimate is super long in the cooldown, 3 minutes. Fatal Bonds, really good, but you need other damage for it. And it doesn't actually provide lockdown. Shadow Word is like a cool heal, but doesn't really provide crowd control. And Upheaval does, but many people don't level up Upheaval because it actually didn't do damage, though now it can with one of the talents. Funny enough, this talent also gives wave clear, and I think that might have made Warlock better to get to the late game he wants. I think Warlock is really good in low MMR games where the pace is slower, but at high level games, Warlock's pace does feel slow for what a lot of people are still doing. But maybe that's okay, because oftentimes when a lot of people start pushing towards this early game tempo, there will be a counter movement where it's like, can we play slow heroes that stall all of that out and then win in the late game against these heroes who were all picked to be really early tempo based, and Warlock's one of those heroes who might be able to do it by like getting your weak carry through the laning stage with a bunch of heals, and then maybe this talent for a wave clear and upheaval stuff, and then you just win in the late game because fatal bonds and your ult is incredible. So yeah, I've heard Dubu's also been like slapping people around with Warlock, so that's why it's like, well, maybe actually there's some value to it. But I have not seen a Warlock game myself, like in my own game, but I haven't seen Warlock, and I haven't gotten around to trying him yet. I've been trying like some of these other topper like heroes I think are more in the top tiers. So we'll try Warlock soon, and then we might update him. Like I said, this is meant to be a quick update patch. It's like 25 minutes in at this point. Shadow Demon got some talent changes, which seemed good, but his laning stage still feels a little awkward because you need to land the Shadow Poisons to have a good lane, and if you don't, then you don't have a good lane. I don't know. That's kind of it. So I feel like until I see someone like slapping people around with the Shadow Demon, he's just a little awkward. Silencer. Same deal a bit, where Arcane Curse and Last Word are actually really good for small fights, and Silencer himself really likes being involved in small fights, but Global Silence has a really long cooldown and a really high cost, so that feels weird for this faster paced meta, but I could see him working. The thing is, a lot of these heroes down here don't love to buy Solar Crest, unlike like some of these heroes up here, and Solar Crest feels really good right now, I feel like. I guess that's not totally true. Warlock can buy it. Like, these guys don't mind buying it, like Keeper and Warlock, but a lot of these other heroes are not natural Solar Crest builders, and that does feel like it kind of matters right now. Phoenix, not a Solar Crest builder. I don't know. I don't even know if I can call Phoenix C tier. Phoenix is like somehow always good no matter what, right? It feels that way. But what used to be a talent is now on the Shard to be able to cast Sunray, which was really powerful. And so anytime you lose something for free that you got for free and have to pay money for it, does feel bad. Having said that, this talent came pretty late, and she can now, in theory, get it sooner. So maybe that's actually a buff if you can pay the money for it. I don't know. Venomancer as a support, I think, is awkward. His damage got increased by 2, but the slow got reduced by 1%. And I think his talent, his level 10 talent to make Plague Wards last longer, or sorry, I think it was a 15 talent. Oh, I think it was 10. One of the talents made the Plague Wards last longer, and that was really good for support Veno for how you played him. Now that's gone. This level 20 talent does seem good, but I mean, that's picking a support for a level 20 talent, and that's pretty far. So I don't know. Yeah, I know some pro teams would disagree on that. Which I kind of get, but since I'm a pub content creator, some of these heroes who require a lot of coordination, for example, Chen, who's next on the list, I think do end up lower on the tiers, because it's like, here we go, guys. If we hit this 6 timing, it'll be awesome, and then no one listens, right? So I don't think they're so good in pubs. So like Chen, he got some buffs, but he's still a hard hero to play. And I don't know. I think if you lose your army, it feels awful. And this ult is a really long cooldown. But he's a Solar Crest builder. He's a Aura builder. He's good at these small skirmishes if you keep the momentum going. And I just think in a pub game, it can be really tough to do that. But in theory, if you do manage to keep that up, then he could be a really good hero. And I think he could move up the tier list. But for our pub support games, right, like picking him early, it feels like a big risk if your team is going to be like, why are you taking my creeps? And you're like, I'm Chen. You may not see this hero, but I swear it's good. They have no idea what to do, so it feels awkward. Omni Knight got some buffs. Abaddon got some buffs. But when I think about them compared to Dazzle, Oracle, like these other saving heroes, these guys don't feel as good. With an Ursa or a Huskar, like playing with or against those heroes, I don't think these guys are as good as Oracle and Dazzle. That's why they're lower down. But they may still move up. Like, having a strong Dispel is always good. They did get some buffs, so I could see them moving up, but right now they just feel worse. Plus their melee and like Huskar likes dealing with melee heroes, and so does Ursa. So like it's really like I'm really thinking about those. PL as well has a really good time against Omni and Abaddon because he drains mana very easily, and it's easier for ranged heroes to avoid PL than it is for melee heroes, I think. But they're kind of good in the way that Omni Knight's good with strength heroes, and I think a lot of strength heroes are getting popular because of armlet changes and other things. So I could see Omni Knight being good. And Abaddon, he just like comes in and out of the meta, I feel like. And he did get buffs, so maybe he will go up, but I just haven't seen them, so they're down here. Io as a support got nerfed. Io as a hero got nerfed. And I think the support changes did nerf him. Even though they tried to give him some better support talents, I think it's not as good. But he's good with Huskar. He's good with Ursa. He's good with CK. So the meta might favor Io, even though the hero got nerfed. But he's a very hard hero to play in pubs, so I think he goes down on the list. Windranger, I just don't really like Windranger as a 5, to be honest. So like that's why she's like, I think she's playable, but C tier. Venge does not feel good as a support still to me. Even though she likes building Solar Crest, I think her laning's just awkward. And yeah. But Wave of Terror is great at stacking, and that could give her some value. But yeah, I think she's still awkward as a support. Enigma got nerfed because the whole way he plays support is by denying creeps, and that straight up got nerfed really heavily. So I don't think this is a tier 5 list specifically, which maybe, I don't know if I said that at the start. It'll be in the title of the video, so you'll know. But as a 5, I think Enigma is a big stretch, and I think you're at high risk of getting flamed in your pubs. Same with Techys, even though I think Techy support got buffed. Guys, think about it. With this shard, the shard is better for stuns. You suicide yourself in lane to get a free teleport to come back, bring all your new items, bring the carry their items, harass, suicide again. Like, Techy's support actually got buffed in that regard, I feel like. You didn't have to spend all your money on TPs after you suicide and die and had to go back to the lane. But I mean, then you're playing Techy's 5. And unless you crush the lane and you play in a coordinated manner, Techy's 5 is not good compared to other supports, so he's in the sad tier. And these guys, I think could be good, could be bad. I'm seeing some crazy stuff. I know like Tinker's in here, but apparently No Tail's trying it. Faceless Void, Dubu's trying it. I just haven't seen him in my own games. I haven't played him for myself. Death Prophet, I personally think got nerfed. I would put her in the sad tier, but I'll wait till I see someone play Death Prophet support, or just never do see it again and then just assume it fell into sad tier. Some of these other people like have been played as 5s in the craziest of metas, but I just haven't seen it myself yet, so I'm not sure. Faceless what now? Yeah, he maxes time dilation and he goes at it. Tinker, that's the crazy one, guys. Starts rockets, apparently maxes laser, and then you go for the shard. The shard is really good. Crazy stuff like that. So I'm not saying the people in this list are like guaranteed bad. Some of them might even be really good, but I don't have enough experience. This video is coming out like 3 days after the patch has been out. 4 days, I think. So yeah, this tier list might change around a lot, but a lot of people are asking me like, who do I think are the best heroes, blah, 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 stuff like that. And I don't even know if these guys are truly S tier, but like at least in this S to A tier, I'm pretty confident all these heroes are fairly good. Whether they're the best, whether there are other heroes who also deserve to be in here, maybe, but I think these guys fit right now. Oracle being the weirdest one. I legit feel like he's not good. Compared to like the last patch, I think he's like still okay. I'd probably put him in like C tier to B tier as a hero himself, but he just fits the meta with the Huskars and the Ursas. Maybe I'm wrong on that, because I know people are telling me he still feels fine, and maybe that's true. But it feels like he shouldn't be. All right, and that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you think I'm wildly wrong in any of this. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. All right, bye. Thank you.